Mr. Chairman, I wanted to look up the word obfuscate because I've been watching it play out all morning. The verb meaning to make something unclear, obscure, or difficult to understand, to conceal the truth, and frequently used in the context of communication or politics, to confuse, to cloud, to blur, to befuddle, to complicate, to mystify. I think many people remember the scene in The Wizard of Oz where the dog is pulling back the curtain and the man with the booming voice says, "Disregard the man behind the curtain pulling the levers and spinning the wheels." But everyone knew. It's almost like someone who pulls a fire alarm and then blames everybody else for the noise. Or the little kid that's caught with cookie crumbs on their face and says, "No, it wasn't me." I don't know how, if a terrorist activity occurs, that you can wordsmith your way out of this in a few months. I would like to know how you can wordsmith your way out of this, because that's the reality. As Ms. McNeil, representing the TSA agents, as you have described, there has been 40 days, a lapse of funding. Brilliantly, the president has had to move for national security concerns, ICE agents to do the non-technical elements of screening. Because as you said, it takes 6 months for some of these screening elements to be fully understood to keep the American people safe at our airports. 40 days of no funding. 400 people have quit their jobs within TSA, is my understanding. It takes 6 months to replace them. Within 79 days, we're going to have the World Cup. This conflict with Iran, and Iran absolutely is looking for vulnerabilities. Ms. McNeil, is our national security at risk?
We are really concerned about the impacts of all of this on our security posture and our ability to maintain. I think the fact that we are able to maintain the way that we are today really speaks to the dedication of the workforce, but if this goes on much longer, it will have dire long-term impacts.
So for the leverage points of those that are trying to make a point on some other issue, will they have had plenty of warning sign if a terrorist activity was to occur? If another drug interdiction to the Coast Guard gets through, someone dies for fentanyl poisoning. If there is a hacking situation and we lose our grid, or we ransomware and massive vulnerabilities. Or in Oklahoma, if we have a tornado and our disaster relief fund stash of allocation is completely empty, will they be able to move the green pea around enough and wave their hand enough to say, "Oh, we didn't have enough notice. It wasn't our fault"? Admiral Allen, how could you justify maintaining a position of keeping your officers underfunded where they are having to go to banks to keep them afloat, keeping their eye off the target to protect the people? Can they say they didn't know?
Sir, our people are hired to secure the Constitution and pledge that oath. With that oath, the American people have given them a contract to pay them and make sure that they're going to be able to show up to work for every day. Every day that this goes on, it's harder to do that. We have uncertainty in whether they're going to get paid, and that creates problems with readiness, and that problem with readiness creates problems with execution of dangerous missions.
Ms. McNeil, for the TSA agents, given the attrition, given those that are leaving their jobs, you said 40% of people are calling in now saying, "I just can't do this." In some areas, 40% saying, "I cannot do this. I have to go make a living for my family. I have to get a paycheck." And so that void is having to be filled. What happens months down the road because of the 6-month training requirement to get us up to speed? How many months will we be in a very vulnerable situation, even if the shutdown was to end today?
As I mentioned in my opening statement, at this rate and at this point in time, we wouldn't be able to train those officers and put them in place in time for the FIFA World Cup. So, we're facing it come this summer.